Welcome, everyone. Today's topic, best practices for Oracle BI Financial Analytics, will be presented by Goel and Mark Joslin from KPI Partners. Sid is responsible for the overall technology direction, strategy, and methodology development of KPI Partners operations. He has over 10 years of experience strategizing and developing innovative business intelligence and CRM solutions. Mark Joslin is the Business Development Director for KPI Partners in the Southeast and the Southern United States. Prior to KPI, Mark was a staff member at both Oracle and Hyperion for 10 years in both consulting and sales roles. If you want to find out more about KPI Partners or how we can assist your organization with Oracle Business Intelligence, please contact us through our website at kpipartners.com. I will now pass it to Sid and Mark, who are in various locations along the East Coast.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. So I want to dive right into the agenda. We'll spend a minute or two just talking about who is KPI Partners. I see some of our existing customers and clients are on the phone, so on this webinar. Thank you. And then talk about the pain points we're seeing in the Office of Finance across industries. So, from telecom to financial services to numerous different industries. We'll then follow up. The next point will be how Oracle BI Financial Analytics helps resolve some of those pain points through talking about the product and also doing a demo, which Mark will do. So Mark will do the what is Oracle BI Financial Analytics and the demo. And then we'll loop back and talk about implementation best practices. How do you implement financial analytics, Oracle Financial Analytics generically and in general, financial analytics to address those pain points. And then we'll follow up with some case studies that illustrate how those best practices were applied in 3 different case study situations, and then we'll talk about recommended next steps. So let me dive right into, very quickly on who is KPI Partners. We are a boutique consulting firm, but we are the largest and most experienced BI services company focused entirely on Oracle BI. Number of us come from the organizations that built these products. So in fact, in this example, I was a product manager for Siebel Analytics, which then became Oracle BI. And Mark is on the call with both the Hyperion and the Oracle background. We offer both full on-site plus blended on-site and offshore delivery models. We are a full-service vendor in that we also provide education and training through KPI University. We've also, again, because of our product heritage, worked with Oracle to offer extensions to Oracle's BI offerings in the areas of connectors for different modules. So for instance, particularly for a finance audience, fixed asset analytics from Oracle eBusiness Suite, as well as a Salesforce.com connector, quick start packages, and then from an industry perspective, student information analytics. We have the most experience in financial analytics. So among our 300 BI applications projects, we have the most number of deployments of any vendor out there for financial analytics in particular. This is our NASCAR slide with some of our customers across a variety of applications. And with that, now let's talk about what typical pain points in the Office of Finance. Again, this is what we're seeing in this economy in particular. Some of these things are things that are fairly prevalent at any time in terms of what the finance organization needs to do, but they're becoming even more critical, and the weighting kind of changes. But we're certainly seeing, I would say, the improved predictability is always a key driver in finance. We're seeing that continue to be very important. But in this economy, we're certainly seeing better cash flow and probably most importantly, increased profitability. So if the top line's not growing, then let's see how we can at least get the bottom line to grow. So we're seeing different requests for different looks at profitability depending on what a customer's business is, and I'll go into more of that. But the key point is the Office of Finance is being asked to do all of these things across industries, while in some cases losing headcount. So they've got to figure out how to do things with a greater efficiency from both a speed perspective as well as purely from a resource perspective, not having, in some cases, the same number of people. So the first pain point is predictability. So how do you improve predictability? A very basic thing is trending. So a lot of finance organizations really struggle to give meaningful trending to their users. It's manual process, it's difficult, you have to merge data sets together, all of that. Lack of interim reporting. So we see a lot of finance organizations that really don't give users any view into financial data until a particular period is closed. And often that's too late for a particular business group to be able to do anything to change those numbers. So the lack of interim reporting and trending we see really hampers the ability to predict. Second thing we're seeing is improved profitability. And what that means is really specific to an industry. So for a manufacturing company, it could be product profitability. For a services company, it could be project profitability. For a financial services company, it could be customer profitability. And really, what we're seeing is, before you get into full-blown activity-based costing, you can do something that's got a much higher return on investment to bring together your information using the financial analytics to give these views of profitability. So we had a customer do product profitability and present at Open World this year at Joslin, who are a reseller and manufacturing company. And really, their system wasn't designed to give these metrics, their EBS system in that case, so we needed to bring together information from a number of different systems to give a true view of product profitability. The second thing is no cross-functional reporting. So trying to manage your business through just the GL is pretty difficult. So if you see a particular spend item trending up, you need to get down to that particular system where spending is tracked, so you can actually figure out what's going on there. So cross-functional reporting, what are the drivers, essentially, of the different items in the GL? No seamless drill to detail, so not even within GL, within the finance world, we see a lot of summary reporting without drill to detail. And then cross-functional drill, typically CFOs say that's just a dream from their perspective. And also a lack of variance reporting. So a lot of finance organizations will do variance reporting, but again, often it's too late, or it's just a summary of information, and then I need to go back to finance and figure out what's causing the variance. Whereas what users want is, give me my variance report with details so I can drill down and figure out what's going on. And then lastly, better cash flow. So improving cash flow is critical in this environment with your customers or suppliers potentially being in a distressed financial condition. And how do I improve my cash flow in that kind of economy? Number one, let's get the items that are impacting cash flow out to the users that can really act upon it. So as an example, let's get receivables reports to sales management or to salespeople in a secure manner so that they can act upon it and talk to their customers. Same thing on the payable side. Another thing is a lack of key metrics. So I'll get my 30, 60, 90-day report, but one of the key ones that I like, and I'm had the finance function for KPI, is average days to pay by customers. So I've got 30-day terms, but guess what? This customer is paying me on average in 45 days. So when I'm going to negotiate a contract, we can at least figure out, more frequent invoicing, what's the approach we can take. And of course, do all this with increased efficiency. So what does that mean? Reports cannot be enhanced quickly. So this is all the, I like this report, a user will say, but I want to change it. And now, if you've got a static report where you've got SQL behind it, not a metadata-driven report, very difficult to change. A lot of customers rely on their ERP system for reporting, and typically it hasn't been designed for self-service, both from an end-user ease-of-use perspective as well as the functionality. And it's too labor-intensive to produce, which increases the lag time and reduces the value of the information. And the last 2 points are really technical points around the fact that you do all this stuff and you can impact, if you do direct reporting off the ERP system without a data warehouse, it can adversely impact your operational system and result in either reports that are too slow or your ERP system being too slow. So with that, with these pain points introduced, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Joslin, Director of Business Development at KPI, and he is going to dive more into what is Oracle BI Financial Analytics and do the demo. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you, sir. As I show my screen now and continuing on the same pain points and addressing, has everyone seen my screen update?
Yep.
Okay. So addressing the comprehensive financial view and addressing those pain points of what we're seeing in the marketplace, the financial analytics really are designed around inter-period reporting, period reporting, specifically around the GL and also profitability out of the box, out of your transactional system, as well as payables and also receivable analytics to give you a holistic view of your financial information. Now, within the financial applications, a lot of people are, really wondering how these things apply, and are these just for executives, or are these for just line managers, or are these just operational reports? And the answer is all of the above. There's predefined dashboards for different roles and users within the organization, all the way down to the transactional operational reporting out of the ERP system. Now, the real value of the BI applications is when you do a BI rollout, the real investment is not the pretty reports. The real investment for any BI project always occurs below the waterline. The taking that information from one or multiple ERP systems, putting it into a operational reporting environment or some form of dimensional data warehouse, providing that ETL, providing that common information model. That's what you're really buying when you buy the BI apps, is saving you all that work below the waterline. It also provides that decision flow process for end users to go from an alert to a notification all the way down to an actionable item, all the way down to launching even back into their ERP system, opening it up and making business decisions directly launching in and sharing all the credentials across a single environment. Now, some of the processes that we do at KPI as far as best practice is really integrating and understanding what your key performance indicators are, your key metrics. And this is kind of a short list of some of the key metrics that come out of the box with the BI applications. And going through the vision workshop and matching up what's your definition of DSO to the definition within the pre-built analytics, and making sure that everyone in your corporation is using the same definition of the same metrics across the environment. And this really provides you a time to value. So being able to stand up an implementation, as we're going to take you through in some of our case studies, in a very short time frame of from rolling it out from first day of the start of the project all the way out to rendering value, and then not only a short time to value, but also a lower cost of ownership because you're buying rather than having to build all of those things. So you're really talking weeks versus months. Now, if you'll let me, I will go over and, because the picture is really worth 1,000 words. If I really want to look at what we're talking about with the BI application, I can literally launch into my environment here, and from a standard BI environment, I see I have all of my subject areas for financials. And at the end of the day, we may want to talk about a lot of different reporting, but we're all in business for what? Profitability, to make money. Capitalism is good. So drilling into the, profitability analysis, I want to be able to see that over time and predict my profitability quarter over quarter, see my trending, see my analysis, being able to drill down into my profit and loss statement very distinctly, being able to see it, using such common information model pieces as what is the current month plus 3, where I'm having this defined in one global environment, being able to drill down into a greater level of detail of budget versus actual, being able to see down all the way from my top expense variances, being able to look at budget versus actual and year-over-year date comparison, and also look at, where are my variances? Where am I not being as profitable on that bottom line as we're so focused on? I see that the sales guys out on the West Coast are blowing their variances completely out of the water and drilling into that. I want to see the detail of where the money went, okay? So within a few clicks, now I've gone all the way from a global profitability, where am I trending, and literally within 4 clicks through a P&L, through a rolling P&L predictive, all the way down to the actual account transaction system. This is how people are actually doing their jobs, rather than having to get one report out of one system and one report out of another system. They want to be able to come to one place to consume all of this information. And I see that, the cost of goods sold has a significant variance, but really what grabs my attention is, we see a total blowing out of the water of the advertising budget. We want to go all the way down to, from a global P&L, all the way down to the transaction system, and actually see where the money went. And now I'm actually into the, the lowest level of detail captured in the ERP system in an interperiod process to provide me a greater ability to manage that overall profitability and tie it back to those specific pain points which my compensation plan is driven off of increasing the productivity. And also, as we see within our environment and within the marketplace today, a greater focus on cash flow management. Cash is always king. So being able to look over how I'm trending and how I'm predicting my cash flow down into a rolling cash flow statement. And I see a significant variance within my accounts receivable, wanting to drill down into that trial balance on a specific level, and all the way down into the journal lines. So literally within 4 clicks, I can look at how am I doing predictively on my cash flow, all the way down to managing it in transaction level. Now, this isn't just a static reporting environment where, it's, 4 reports and a cloud of dust. There are over 480 out-of-the-box reports. That hundreds of metrics that come, within just the financial, over 6,000 across the entire BI application. But these reports, you may look at this report and say, that's great, but it may not meet everything I needed to do. So with one click, we can launch into ad hoc, and I can now save that report in my folder, make it just for me. I can customize it. I can change my selection criteria and tweak that report. Now remember, the real value of the BI apps is not in the canned reports. It's in the pre-built ETL that you're getting from your transaction system, the benefits you're getting from the business analytic warehouse of being able to put this in a purchase conformed dimensioned analytical warehouse, being able to provide a common information model of a single place to define what are my metrics? What are my key performance indicator? And oh yes, you also do then have the reports that we then can help you make fit your specific business requirements. Now, I could go on and on for hours over all of that is included in the BI applications, but we really want to focus on what are the best practices of taking this environment and rolling it out into your users. So at this point, I'll turn it back over to Sid.
So you've seen what the financial analytics product can do, but driving that product into an implementation, there's a number of best practices that we've worked on with our customers that I wanted to go through next. How do you deploy this application or any financial application? What are the best practices to get the best return on investment? So the first thing is, as Mark mentioned, you get a lot of reports, a lot of functionality, but really what we've seen be very successful, so the first best practice is start with business drivers in mind and not deploying the maximum number of reports. You purchase the product from Oracle, you want to get the maximum value out of it in terms of what I bought, 400 reports, all of that. But what we found with customer after customer is that it's not the number of reports, it's the business value. A single report or 5 reports can literally drive the entire value of the application. Each business is unique. Oracle has collected best practices from across industries, but at the end of the day, you've got to get the business and IT folks in a room together and understand what are the current pain points. So that's the first thing, is to not assume that the quantity is better than quality. The second, somehow, oh, there we go. Okay. The second thing is that we often find is that the business users don't know what's actually possible. So they may not ask for something because they don't know it's exactly possible. If they're used to, for instance, having to do profitability reporting by product or by project by hand, they're like, I didn't even think the system could do that. And in reality, it can. So it's very important to educate them on what the out-of-the-box product provides, as well as what it can do, the piece below the iceberg, as Mark was talking about. And ideally engage somebody who knows the analytical requirements in the Office of Finance, and not somebody who only focuses on the operational reporting. And one of the things we do to facilitate this is we've got a full demo system, such as what Mark showed you, with the financial analytics product up and running, so that you can actually educate your users with what is possible with financial analytics. The next thing is, don't try to simply replicate your existing operational reports. Those take things to the next level. So if you're using eBusiness Suite, you've got FSG reports, PeopleSoft, you've got Envision or PS Query. Don't try to simply replicate those reports. See if you can enhance what you've got today. Focus on analytical reports, which is what financial analytics really excels at, in addition to the more simpler operational reports. Next best practice is, don't get nervous or alarmed if you don't see the out-of-the-box reports exactly matching your business needs. So you do that first demo, and then your business goes, gee, this doesn't look like what I'm used to. And it's often they're missing 5 or 10 key columns that really make the information much more impactful. So you can either, our methodology, we actually load, as part of the requirements phase, we actually load the out-of-the-box financial analytics with your data, so that you get rid of that issue to some extent because they're seeing their own data, and then explaining to them that, look, the product comes with 3,000 columns or more. We can certainly add 10 more columns that you want, whether it's product line or market information, whatever things that's going to make this make the application much more useful for you. The next is, look at some traditional winners for financial analytics. A trended balance sheet. I've rarely heard a CFO that says, I don't want that. Profitability analytics we'll talk about. Almost every customer we talk to today wants their version of profitability, whether it's project and financials and professional services, product and the manufacturing, customer, market segment, and so on. Aging and cash flow management, always winners with the CFO, and then budget versus actual by cost center, such as what Mark showed you, would drill down to subledger in detail. So again, good ones to start with. And if feasible, demonstrate some cross-functional reports. So, look at bringing in additional information from other systems or integrating the other BI apps, such as HR analytics. So now you can see how non-finance data is driving the finance data. So for instance, HR headcount variance showing how that's driving your payroll costs, for instance, as well as AR with invoice details. So with those best practices, let's talk about how customers how KPIs implemented those best practices with 3 different customers and the business value they got. So the first one is a high-tech manufacturing company in California, an EBS customer who deployed financial analytics. The challenges they had were they were heavily dependent on FSG, which is the financial systems generator reporting tool that comes with EBS and Microsoft Excel. Critical reports were only prepared at month end, and there was no secure way to share reports. So during our implementation, the best practices we utilized, that first one, which is to bring the business with IT together. We call it a vision workshop. It's something that we do as part of our methodology. That workshop really brought together business and IT to understand what the key business drivers were. We also deployed the out-of-the-box financial analytics on the ERP system to drive the requirements and gap analysis, and not doing it in a vacuum, blank sheet of paper kind of thing. And we took a very iterative approach with heavy business participation throughout the project. And the result was a project that was deployed in 14 weeks by the KPI team, and we leveraged heavily the customer source system experts in their financial system. Business benefits, ability to create profitability on several dimensions, in this case product being the most critical one. We were able to integrate Hyperion planning data for budget versus actual analytics. The CFO loved the trend reporting on balance sheet and income statement, and then drill down to transactional detail records. And as we were doing our data validation, we realized that some of the existing Excel reporting actually had some errors. So it was a good way to transition the previous way of doing things out. The next one I'll talk about is a large insurance company in the U.S. And this is one that I was personally very involved with this project, where the customer was replacing their existing mainframe ERP system, which had been in place for almost 30 years with Oracle eBusiness Suite. And to justify the project, you had the standard reasons to move to an Oracle ERP system, but BI was a huge thing for the controller. And the controller said right from the beginning, she said, if I don't get my BI on day one of my ERP system, don't bother going live with the ERP system. She was very categorical that the ERP system was not going to be allowed to go live unless the financial analytics was live at the same time. Because she said, as the person writing the check, that's the BI is what's going to give me the benefit, number one. Number two, we're moving from an old system to a new system. How are we going to get confidence in the numbers unless we have a great BI system supporting it? And also to handle the change management, not only were they moving to a new system, but they were also radically restructuring their chart of accounts. So, and lastly, they needed on day one to be able to not only do their business reporting, but also their statutory reporting to the state insurance bureaus, which had alternate hierarchies. So they needed not only financial analytics, but also S-base to provide the full suite of financial reporting and analytics that were required. So what were the best practices here? We did a vision workshop to not only understand business drivers, but also took that opportunity to analyze, consolidate, and migrate reports, and also figured out what the best use of financial analytics and Essbase would be together to deliver more value to the business as compared to just one solution by itself. So in this case, we use the financial analytics data warehouse as a feeder to Essbase, and we maintain the alternate hierarchies that were required for statutory reporting in Essbase and kept the business hierarchies that were used to run the business within financial analytics. The result was a project deployed in 16 weeks, and the KPI team was about 4 to 5 people in that case. The ERP team was about well over 60 people. So, you know, one of the things I hear all the time is, you know, I can't really do BI at the same time as ERP. The controller at this insurance company said that's really not an option. And I think she was really quite visionary in getting the fact that, in fact, you get the maximum value if you do both things together. And we have a methodology that allows you to implement both at the same time. So the business benefits, adding significant value to the ERP implementation, reduced the month-end close process. So we ran financial analytics 3 times a day during the close period. Drillable aging reports with the ability of ad hoc analytics led to significant business user adoption, and really the self-service was one of the key things that the users got, which they did not have before. The next one is a telecom company, again in the U.S., who had a very convoluted chart of accounts. Poor performance, key information in non-ERP systems, no analysis capability, existing hierarchies not adequate for analytics, and they, the best practices, again, using the Vision Workshop, we discovered that they had a very complex chart of accounts. So we actually designed a map to their existing chart of accounts to support ad hoc reporting. So we, the second thing is, again, engaging the business early to gather those analytical requirements. Essbase, again, was a part of the solution here. And we also used the out-of-the-box data model to source data from non-ERP sources. Again, a best practice to try to bring together both financial and non-financial information to help give greater insight into profitability and so on. So it's really, you know, people say, well, I can run my entire business through the GL. And, you know, in some businesses you can, but in most businesses you need subledger information, and you need often things that are not in the GL at a detailed enough level to be able to really drive your business. Result was a project that was deployed in 20 weeks by KPI. And the business benefits, long-running reports delivered in minutes rather than hours, special navigation reports to support data validation, very important when you're doing a financial analytics. The data validation process really helped drive user adoption and make financial analytics a trusted source. And cross-functional reporting. So this customer implemented not only financial analytics, but also HR analytics, procurement and spend analytics, supply chain analytics. And so it really gave them a global view, as well as third-party invoice data. As a telecom company, a lot of their billing information is outside the ERP system. So not only these best practices, but I also wanted to throw out a couple of bonus ones. These are fairly generic ones, but in some ways applicable to a lot of IT projects, but really formalize the business and IT engagement is what we recommend. Not making it very ad hoc and loose. Really formalize it through the Vision Workshop, as well as structured touch points during the project. Document clear requirements. Ideally, prototyping can be extremely helpful when a requirement isn't 100% clear. Getting business sign-off on each phase or deliverable. So it really protects IT and the business to make sure everybody's on the same page. Focus on security, performance, and user adoption. From a financial analytics perspective, the security is really critical. Sorry about performance, and then user adoption, because in the finance world, you're always, if you can't deliver a solution that's as good as me doing it in Excel, then you really, no point bothering, really. So you've got to be able to meet that user adoption challenge, especially in finance, to give them the right mixture of dashboards to answer frequently asked questions, as well as the ability to download things to Excel in order to answer more ad hoc questions. Okay? Don't boil the ocean in trying to, again, go for quantity versus quality. So instead of saying, you know, I'd like to implement 400 reports, nope. Focus on the most critical ones, and also focus on, you know, which reports do I have confidence that the level of data quality is in good shape and all that. So it's better to start out small and then expand rather than trying to deliver 400 reports to your end users, because it's probably going to be pretty overwhelming and pretty hard to validate and test and everything. And also, another really critical thing is work with a partner that doesn't over-customize the BI apps, because we've certainly seen implementations where people customize things because they didn't know the application very well, and under the covers, the functionality was available. So whenever you hear things that, you know, seem like the product should be able to do it, then certainly challenge and question when somebody says a custom solution is required, because certainly you can often leverage a lot of what Oracle provides. So with that, I'm going to just open it up for questions, but what is the next step that we typically recommend to customers? So 3 scenarios. The first thing is, if you're looking at purchasing Oracle Financial Analytics, what we'd recommend, of course, is work with your Oracle rep, but look at doing a gap analysis to determine the level of fit, benefit, and effort. Analyze what existing reports can be consolidated and migrated to Oracle BI apps without extensive customization, figure out what the ROI is going to be, and the deliverable, if you get KPI to do it, we typically will work with you to do a project justification document, which will have high-level project scope, cost, benefits, and an implementation plan. Okay. If you already own Oracle Financial Analytics but have not deployed it, what we recommend is a 2-day vision workshop with business and IT to get project success criteria, scope, risk, and opportunities. So, and the deliverables out of that are a project charter document, a project plan, and then also an expected effort by the project team members, not just KPI, but often, very importantly, the client team. And I'll give you an example. Joslin, who presented for us at Open World, we actually went in and did a 2-day vision workshop. Again, they owned all of the Oracle pre-built applications, and they weren't sure, what should we do first? And IT had an idea that, listen, we want to do GL reporting first. We got into a 2-day vision workshop with the business and realized that the data quality in the GL and the data completeness, more importantly, since only 90% of their GL was within eBusiness Suite, so 10% of it for their international operations were outside of eBusiness Suite. And we went back and forth that, can I do GL reporting where the numbers are off by 10%? And the business said, no way. Can't do it. You're going to lose confidence in the system. And in fact, as we were talking, we realized what was really critical was a profitability, set of profitability reports that the senior management team wanted. And we were able to implement that piece for the senior management team and line managers. And that application on day 1 and for the last 6 months has had 94% user adoption, which means 94% of the users go to that dashboard on a weekly basis. And financial analytics, the GL portion, we're going to now do as a second phase. So again, that vision workshop is really critical to figure out what's the highest value and what's the lowest effort to get you the value you're looking for. Lastly, if you've already deployed, we often get asked for health checks because the customers implemented financial analytics, but they're getting the so what from their users. Or they're not getting user adoption, or they've got technical issues with performance issues, and so on. So we often will go in and do a best practices health check from both the business and IT perspective. It can, depending on the complexity, varies between a week, 2 weeks, depending on how complex the implementation is. And the deliverable out of that is a health check report and a set of recommendations and a level of effort to take your financial analytics implementation to the next level.
How do I justify the purchase of financial analytics?
Absolutely, a great question. And we often will say, let's do some sort of a, going back to the previous slide, some sort of a gap analysis or a vision workshop with your users to figure out what the pain points are, what the benefits of the financial analytics solution would be, and then what would the cost be to implement. And we'll often work with Oracle. Oracle has their Insight program. So there's a number of different approaches, but at the end of the day, you want to get to what are the key business benefits we're going to get out of this, and what's the cost to implement.
We are looking at doing an ERP upgrade, but want a simultaneous implementation at risk to the overall project?
Yep, very good question, Brad. So we get this over and over again, and we always tell them that, tell customers that if you work with the right methodology, you actually de-risk your ERP implementation. And what do I mean by that? You can leverage a number of things from the BI implementation to actually help the ERP implementation. Number one, it can help in your data validation in your ERP system. Number two, you can leverage common infrastructure, and as you're testing your interfaces into your ERP and so on, it can help there. Thirdly, you can go with, the users are going to basically, once they go live with the ERP, they're going to pull reports out of the system one way or the other. So instead of, Mark, I think you were mentioning your favorite expression there is, instead of using, string and wire to pull all that stuff together, giving them a world-class reporting and analytics solution is ultimately what you're going to do long-term anyway. So why not do it now and use it to help the ERP project? And lastly, this is one that recently I've seen at a number of customers. They've done like $60, $70 million ERP implementations. 3 years later, the data quality is just awful because they never had BI on top of the ERP system in order to make sure the data going in is really good. You had finance doing heroics to clean up the data going in order to essentially mask all the data going in an improper way. So that's the other thing that I've seen recently, which I was quite shocked at, is that if you don't have BI, you essentially are looking at a big cleanup effort potentially further on down the line on your ERP system.
I hear that 11G is the front end to Hyperion now. How does the BI system fit into my Hyperion environment?
Hey, Mark,
well,
are you on?
Yeah. We've got several customers currently who are leveraging 11G to start doing a single platform reporting off both their transactional ERP systems and also the Hyperion systems. This provides you a lower cost of ownership, provides you, greater scalability, and also being able to deploy Hyperion information and ERP information within the same reporting is a tremendous value add. And as OBIEE, which is the foundation for the BI applications, is the strategic direction. So clearly the messaging is they are better together, and you can leverage that business analytic warehouse as your source of record for your Hyperion transaction processing and advanced analytics, and still consume it all through the front end. So the overall messaging is they are better together.
And then one final question here, gentlemen. Does the financial analytics does Oracle Financial Analytics connect to the SAP ERP?
Excellent question. Actually, we are doing sales reporting from SAP with a customer in the Eastern time zone, and I think Oracle has a number of announcements planned there, Mark. I'll let you speak to that, but certainly customers bringing in SAP data into the pre-built applications is a very common scenario that we see, and they can either bring it in through the universal adapter approach or alternate approaches that I think Oracle is looking at. And I wanted to also add one other thing that the case studies I presented were all EBS ones. Certainly for the folks that are on the call from either JD Edwards or PeopleSoft, we have a number of case studies for those customers as well. And recently we had one of our financial analytics from PeopleSoft customers go live in 7 weeks in production with both project analytics and financial analytics. So I just wanted to mention that this is an open system that was designed to support multiple out-of-the-box support for numerous ERP systems. And Mark, did you have anything on the SAP front that you knew about?
Their SAP adapters are in QA. There are older versions for 4.3 SAP adapter certified, but for the newer versions, they are being QA and release is imminent. I cannot commit to a specific timeline, but this system will apply to SAP environment. But obviously, most companies have more than one ERP system, and we have ways of bringing that information directly into the business analytics in the current release.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. That concludes the Q&A portion of the event. We've got 2 webinars coming up within the next 2 weeks. On Monday, February 14th, please join us for the next KPI Partners webinar titled, How Does Oracle BI Add Business Value to an ERP Migration?, which will feature customer presenter Kinetic Concepts, Inc., also known as KCI. And then on Tuesday, February 15th, we will be conducting another webinar titled Oracle BI 11G Overview and Demo. The registration for both those webinars is currently open through kpipartners.com. As mentioned earlier, if you want to find out more about KPI Partners or how we can assist your organization with Oracle BI Financial Analytics, please follow us on Twitter at KPI Partners or contact us through our website at kpipartners.com. Thank you to everyone for joining us on today's call, and thank you to Sid and Mark for presenting. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.